What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, it was being reported, and then I saw the video that undefeated, rising welterweight superstar title contender out of Britain, British superstar title contender, Conor Benn, the son of legend Nigel Benn. Conor Benn, 21 wins, no loss and no draw, 14 wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'8", with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, Conor Benn has been stepping up his level of opponent every fight. He went from Samuel Vargas to Adrian Granados to Chris Algieri to Chris Van Herden. And so Conor Benn is obviously in the limelight and the son of a legend in Nigel Benn. Okay? And so now Conor Benn, making a name for himself, separating himself from that light and that shadow to start to make a name for himself. Well, now Conor Benn, he has acknowledged the likes of undefeated, welterweight, superstar, title contender, Jaron Boots Ennis. 29 wins, no loss, no draw. 27 wins by way of knockout. 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, and now Conor Benn is saying that he would welcome the opportunity to fight a Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, for the longest time, Conor Benn and his team, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, they never truly acknowledged, they never acknowledged Jaron Boots Ennis. They never acknowledged Jaron Boots Ennis. They acknowledged the likes of, four-division world champion, superstar boxer Adrian the Problem Broner. They even acknowledged two-division world champion, Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, right? But they never truly made it known or clear that they would have any interest in facing off against Jaron Boots Ennis, okay? And so fans, they got excited to hear Conor Benn even say the name of Jaron Boots Ennis. But he did it softly. He also mentioned undefeated welterweight Mexican superstar title contender Vergil Ortiz Jr., who's 18 wins, no loss and no draw, 18 wins by way of knockout, 24 years of age. He's 24 years of age, 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach, right? So he softly mentioned their name, right? Now, he also mentioned Keith Thurman's name, right? Former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. He mentioned Keith Thurman's name as well. But here is where people started to say, oh, he's calling out Jaron Boots Ennis. Nobody's avoiding Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is considered the boogeyman in the sport of boxing, especially in the welterweight division, right? So you even had undefeated, unified, three-belt WBC, WBA, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top two best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Earl the Truth Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no loss, and no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He stated Jaron Boots Ennis has replaced him as the boogeyman in the division. When Errol Spence was coming up through the welterweight division, he was considered the boogeyman division. He stated and acknowledged Jaron Boots Ennis has now taken that mantle. He's the boogeyman division. People don't want to fight him. And we know that Errol Spence is on the verge of fighting the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, the biggest fight of his career, against undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. 38 wins, no loss, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout, 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Terrence Crawford, he was the boogeyman at junior welterweight, okay? So they both understand what it's like to be the boogeyman and fighters not wanting to fight you, okay? But they are on the verge of fighting each other, and this has been a fight in the making for quite some time, for some years. So I know people say, well, why aren't they fighting Jaron Boots Ennis? Well, because they are on the verge of fighting each other in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. That's why they're not looking to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. Errol Spence already acknowledged and stated that when he has one more fight at welterweight, and he's moving up to junior middleweight, 154, and he's looking to become a world champion there. and he knows that he'll come across Jaron Boots Ennis. Terrence Crawford recently stated he beats Errol Spence and Jaron Boots Ennis' name and paperwork come across his table. He wants it. He wants it all. So they both acknowledge him. They both understand where he stands, right? But with that said, these young guys like Vergil Ortiz Jr. and his team at one point in time said they need 48 months to face off against Jaron Boots Ennis. 48 months is 4 years. There's 12 months in a year. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. So 48 months, okay, is mean that they need 4 years to prepare and be ready for Jaron Boots Ennis. Now they have since now changed their tune and say that they, are willing to make the fight happen with Jaron Boots Ennis when the opportunity arises, okay? We know Keith Thurman, he said that he wasn't. Keith Thurman's 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'8", with a 69-inch arm reach. He stated that he had no interest in fighting Jaron Boots Ennis, but now we know that Keith Thurman is looking for $10 million to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. So Jaron Boots Ennis is trying to get all the big names in the ring, okay? He even stated that, there's a possibility he could fight Keith Thurman in October. He just wants to fight the biggest names that are available, okay? Well, Vergil Ortiz is making his ring return this Saturday, tomorrow, against Michael McKinson, a fight that was originally scheduled to take place back in March, I believe, but he suffered a sickness and saw him pull from the fight, okay? So it looks like Jaron Ennis is going to fight Stanionis, okay? Amantis Stanionis, which is a very good fight. Stanionis is a very good fighter. He's coming off of a big win, okay? He's 14 wins, no loss, no draw, 9 wins by way of knockout. He's 27 years of age, out of Lithuania. He's 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. He's coming off a big win over Butev, who upset Jamal James and became the mandatory challenger for Errol Spence. Butev is 14 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 11 wins by way of knockout, 28 years of age, 5'10.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He lost a split decision to Stanionis. That was a very entertaining fight of the year type of fight, and it looked like Jaron Boots Ennis could possibly be, fighting Stanionis in October, which would be a big fight for Jaron Boots Ennis, because Stanionis is the mandatory challenger for Errol Spence. I believe it's the IBF, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a big fight for Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, again, when he beats Stanionis, because I highly expect Jaron Boots Ennis, his skill set, his athletic ability, his styles make fights, his quick feet ultimately, and his quick hands for Stanionis, who's pretty flat-footed and gets hit a lot. That's going to be proved to be too much, I believe, for Stanionis. Jaron Ennis going to win the fight. And then people are going to tell you that, Stanionis was unproven. This is how things are going to be perceived when it comes to Jaron Ennis, unless he fights Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. They're always going to say, well, he's still unproven, okay? He's going to be labeled with that. That's a way for people not to fight him. So Conor Benn seemed to be in talks to face, his father's rival and Chris Eubanks Sr., his son, Chris Eubanks Jr., who's an actual middleweight, okay? So Conor Benn is a welterweight who hasn't fought for a world title, so he clearly hasn't won a world title. They're talking about him having a catchweight fight with Chris Eubanks Jr., who is a former world champion at a super middleweight. Now he's back at middleweight, okay? And they're talking about them fighting because, the rival between Chris Eubanks and Nigel Benn, they want to have relive that rival between Chris Eubanks Jr. and Nigel Benn and Conor Benn, okay? In the UK, that's a very big fight, but it just simply doesn't make sense, seeing as though Chris Eubanks is a 160-pounder who should be focused on fighting 160-pounders, okay? He is a very big guy, at 5'11", with a 72-inch arm reach, okay? He 32 years of age. He was the former world champion. He held the WBA title. At middleweight. So that just don't physically make sense. And they're talking about the fight being at 156. That's a whole jump over a weight class for Conor Benn, who fights at 147. Okay, so he fights at 147. Chris Eubanks, 5'10", 5'11", with a 73-inch arm reach. He has 32 wins, 23 wins by way of knockout, 2 losses on his resume. And they're talking about Conor Benn jumping up and fighting him at a catch weight of 156. So Chris Eubanks will come down 4 pounds, and Conor Benn will jump up, what is that, 9 pounds. So Conor Benn would jump up 9 pounds, and Eubanks would drop down 4 pounds. The fight to be made is Conor Benn versus Jaron Ennis. He said that's a fight he would look forward to. Let's make it happen. That's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Peace.
It is your boy Jaden Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.